Welcome to Navigating Workplace Wellness, a project that's proudly supported by the EML Group. It's all about helping SMEs better manage mental health in the workplace. First of all, though, I'd like to bring an acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live, and we pay our respects to elders, past, present and emerging. We recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and culture. I'm Liz Greenwood, Senior Policy Manager, Workers' Comp, WHS and Regulation, and we welcome back Ellie Brown from Lysander. Ellie, if you just want to explain for those who don't already know a little bit about Lysander.
Absolutely. So we are a consultancy. We work in the space of creating really good cultures and developing leaders. So again, we specialise culture, leadership, teams and wellbeing.
Thanks, Ellie. Well, today's session is about conflict management, and like the other episodes in this series, it's going to follow the same format, a 4-part format. First of all, why is this topic important? Secondly, what's the one thing that we want you to walk away with and remember? The third component recognises the fact that we can get a bit too theoretical and the topic might be a bit esoteric. So we need to give you some examples of how to put the theory into practice. And then finally, where to from here? If you're interested in this topic and would like to know where to find out more about it, then we've got some tips for you at the end. So first of all, conflict management. Ellie, why is it important?
Well, this conflict is a natural part of human interaction, but what we need to really think about is, are we having constructive conflict where we're sharing ideas, where perhaps we're disagreeing, but we're doing that again in a healthy way, or are we having destructive conflict? That mean-spirited, that attacking, that bullying, that type of conflict that again hurts people rather than encourages open and honest communication. So it's really important to understand how we show up in conflict, how it exists, and how we can have that ideal conflict point and have constructive conflict.
So not all conflict's bad?
No, absolutely not. What we want to make sure is that we're having, again, it's all part of how we interact. I mean, think about your family. Do you sit around the dinner table and you know, it's all really, you know, silent. We're having conversations and sometimes we're disagreeing and that's okay. So that's all part of constructive conflict. That's about sharing ideas. That's about understanding different lenses of how we see the world.
So the key message here?
The key message is we can have constructive conflict and we can have respectful interaction. So it's all about respect. It's all about listening. It's all about that we have different ideas and that's okay.
So, all right, let's put this into practice because it's probably easier said than done. So what would you suggest?
So we're going to look at a really simple kind of model that talks about the difference between constructive and destructive conflict and how we get to the ideal conflict point. Because I think conflict gets a little bit of a bad rap. Whenever we talk about conflict, it's, you know, people go, oh, we shouldn't have conflict. Well, if we have a workplace that we're not sharing ideas, that we're not seeing a bit of passion and energy, then I kind of go, oh, what's happening here? Have we got a really autocratic workplace? Do people not feel like they can speak up, that they can be heard, that they can share ideas? So let's have a little look at what we call the conflict continuum. So this is a tool, again, that's really easy. So we start with constructive conflict. So we'll start down this end. Now, constructive conflict is, again, where we're seeing growth, we're seeing development, we're seeing innovation, we're seeing collaboration, we're seeing autonomy. But down the other end of the scale of constructive conflict is where we're seeing what we call artificial harmony. Simple way of putting this, have you ever been in a meeting, Liz, where everyone's just nodding their head. The leader's talking, everyone's just nodding their head. No one's saying very much. It's all agreeable. It's all very quiet. Any questions? Nobody says anything. Okay, then we're all agreed. We leave the meeting. After the meeting, there's what we call the meeting after the meeting. That's where we go, what did you think about that? I didn't agree with that. Oh, that's certainly not going, that is no way that's going to work. I can't believe we've just agreed to that. That's artificial harmony. So we don't feel, for whatever reason, safe to speak up in the meeting, to challenge, to perhaps put another idea forward, but we do it after the meeting. We do it in the water cooler. We do it via Teams. We do it over the lunchroom. We do it in all the ways that, again, is not surfacing it in the right medium at the right time. That's what we call artificial harmony. Not a good place to be. Then at the other end of the spectrum, what we've got is destructive conflict. This erodes trust. This decreases productivity. This again is around groupthink. It's bad for our mental health. It's a form of bullying and harassment. It's those really, really destructive, mean-spirited attacks. And that can be that front-on attack where we say it to somebody's face, but it can be equally what happens behind people's backs as well. It can be when we're excluding people, where we're purposely making them feel uncomfortable. And that's, again, not a good place to be. That erodes workplace culture. What we want to have, Liz, is that ideal conflict place in the middle, where we're making sure that we challenge constructively, but we're doing that with empathy, we're doing that with understanding, and we're making sure that we're having the right conversation in the room with the right people. And I think that we all need to get better at that, because as humans as well, we tend to kind of like to sit in harmony because we think harmony is an easy place. But are we actually telling our truth? Are we actually living our values? And we can link that back to our above and below the line behaviours. Does that ring a bell for you, Liz?
Well, it does actually. I mean, I was brought up, you can always agree to disagree. You know, it's not necessarily, you haven't lost if it's not your way or the highway. You just have different points of view and you just agree to disagree.
Absolutely. We don't
put that into practice.
Yeah, we don't always have to win. Sometimes we can compromise.
Yep.
Sometimes we can collaborate. Sometimes it's better to kind of avoid conflict. If the situation is really hot and people are really heightened, maybe it's better to just go, okay, let's leave this now and let's come back to it when we're in a better place. So if you're seeing that we're going along to that destructive, if things are starting to get a little bit heated or hot, then it's sometimes, you know, it's okay to call time on a conversation. It's okay to call time and say, I think we all need to take a step back. Perhaps we need to reassess. Perhaps we need to climb down our ladders. We talked about that in one of our other episodes, and think about our own assumptions, think about our biases, think about why we're getting so heated, and think about another perspective.
Sounds very sensible. So where to from here? If someone wants to look more into this topic and conflict management, where would you suggest?
I would suggest going back to our book by Patrick Lencioni, The Advantage. Really easy book to read. He talks about the importance of building trust in an organization, building trust within a team so that you can have really constructive conflict. You trust each other. He has a really great session on how to build trust. He also has a really great section in his book around that constructive conflict and how we can step into that safely.
Thank you, Ellie. Again, a very enlightening session.
Thanks,
you. Thanks for listening. This series has been made possible through the support of our sponsor, the EML Group. For over a century, EML has helped Australian employers navigate workers' compensation, while supporting their people recover and get their lives back after workplace injury or illness. As well as being experts in claims management, they also help employers to reduce the risk of injuries happening in the first place by providing free training, tools and services like this webinar. Visit eml.com.au today to find out more and access their free range of mental health related resources.